I wanted to talk today about community. This has been a topic lately that we've talked about quite a bit. I think maybe it's forefront in my mind because right now community is very important to me. And community is an important thing for all of us, I believe, not just for me, but for each one of us. So I want to be able to talk to you and share with you today a little bit about my journey of discovering that I'm not enough. Community. First of all, I want to start just by telling you a little bit about myself, who I am. I'm Teresa. I'm your language arts mentor with Discern to Learn. And I take that really seriously. I'm not just a mentor to the people in my class and to those families. I'm a mentor to parents and homeschoolers. And if you have something that you need to talk about your students' language arts, I would love to be that person that you can bounce ideas off of. So please do reach out, talk to me, let me know what I can do to help you and support you. And today I want to come to you and share with you about community and why that's become so important in my life and why I think it's really important for every single one of us. So today I'm here to tell you a hard truth. And the hard truth is something that took me a long time to figure out. I mean, I would have known it if I had thought about it. If you had asked me, I would say, of course, of course. But what I really learned was that I'm not enough. I know social media is blasting you with graphics and beautiful pictures and words, and they say, you're enough, you've got this, you can do anything. And I'm here to tell you that the hard truth is that we aren't enough. I'm not enough. My husband and I together, we're not enough. My family alone, we're not enough. We need God and we need each other. And on my journey, this looked, it was a difficult journey for me because I always felt as though if someone else could do it, so could I, and I might even be able to do it better. I had really thought that I could pretty much manage and cope, and I didn't let things frazzle me or get me upset. I just found a plan and worked my plan until I found that I needed a new plan. And excuse me, my kids very quickly showed me that I wasn't enough, that I couldn't do this alone, that it didn't matter how hard I tried, they were going to make their own choices in the end, that they were going to superimpose their will on top of my will. And just because I wanted something to go a certain way didn't mean it would go that way. However I planned, however I managed, I'm not enough. I can't change someone else's heart. I can't change someone else's will. And I know this seems obvious, right? But I think all of the time we feel as though we are enough, or we should be enough, or we should be working harder, we should be trying harder. And I'm the first person to say, work hard, be diligent, get things done, set goals, do hard things. Absolutely. But on the other side of that coin is that we're not enough. It doesn't matter what I do, life is going to throw its worst at me. And if it hasn't happened to you yet, parents, it will. And, there are medical diagnoses, there are family members who are struggling, there are extended family and friends that are struggling and having difficulties. There are children who are having their own difficulties that, you know what? We can't fix them. We can't fix the problems. We can't fix illnesses, and we can't fix all of those things. We are not enough, and we need someone else to come alongside us, to support us, to care for us. And we need to be able to ask for that in our lives. So I guess, especially as homeschoolers, the question is my home enough? Should my home be enough? And what if my home isn't enough? Have I failed? And I'm here to tell you that I don't believe that anyone's home is enough. And, maybe my home is not as wonderful as your home. Maybe somehow your home has got it all figured out. But I'm guessing that, we don't really live in Pinterest families. And in the real world, things aren't as pretty as we like them to be. So it's a very unpopular truth, but most likely our homes are not enough for our children in our homeschool or outside our homeschool. And I'm not for a second advocating that we just let them join any community. Do whatever you have to do to get outside influence. That is not what I am advocating at all. Of course, if you know me, you know that. But the fact is that our young people, by the time they are 10, 11, even earlier than that, 8, 9, 10, they're developing a need for separation from us. God made us to separate from our parents, to become our own people, and to go out into the world. And the only way that can happen is a slow process. Well, I guess it could happen in a very quick and dramatic process, but that wouldn't be the way that we would plan it. So we want that separation to happen slowly and gradually so that our young people can grow and develop to learn to take on the roles that they need in their lives. So today I want to just talk a little bit about that. And we do want to get our students ready to be adults. So let me ask, what does community offer? Community for me, community for my student. So most of all today, I want to talk about our students because I am a big proponent for class settings, not for everything, but there are some subjects that really, really have advantages in a class setting. Anything that requires discussion, anything that requires feedback, a class group is just a completely different dynamic than sitting down with your mom at the table or your dad, or even one adult, even like one-on-one with an adult. Imagine for a moment that you're 8 years old or 9 years old or 10 years old, and you bring your writing to your parent. And of course, they naturally say, oh, well, this needs improvement and this needs to change. And what about this? And here's some feedback for this. Oh, you really need to work on your spelling. We've got to really work on your punctuation. This isn't right. It seems so easy, doesn't it? Like your child is thinking, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do this? I'm just not good at writing. I can't write as well as the books I read. I can't write as well as my parents can write. I'm just not good at this. And when they're in a class setting, they can see that other people's writing is like theirs, and other people's writing is growing and developing and changing and being edited and revised. And it's not because they're stupid. It is only because it's a learning process that they have to go through. And I can honestly say, I tried very hard to teach this. With my son, I worked very diligently. We learned the writing process right from the very beginning. We always edited, we always revised, and it didn't matter how many times we talked about that. It didn't matter how many times I told him it's just the process. It's not that you're doing something wrong. It wasn't until I started teaching a class with his peers that he really saw that, oh, other people are doing this too. I think he thought, or maybe he didn't think, but he just felt that somehow because he needed to be corrected that he had done something wrong. Kind of like math, it's right or it's wrong. But in writing, it's a process of becoming more correct. It's not about just knowing how to write, because no one knows how to write. The best authors on the market, they didn't just know how to write. And the book that they published didn't just get written and get put out there. So that's really important for students to see that other students are learning, that it's not just them, that they are having to work through the same process, the same struggles. And maybe sometimes they're going to see, oh, hey, I already knew that. I feel pretty good about that. I knew something that someone else didn't know. It's good for them to recognize that they may have grown in areas that other people haven't, because that teaches them the skills in their life about other things. Maybe in other areas of their life, they see someone and they think, oh, I know that, huh? But if they've learned through this classroom process that just means that they're one step farther, then the judgment comes down. When they're in a peer accountable group where everyone is learning, everyone is growing, everyone is succeeding, everyone is failing, and everyone is working hard, then those students learn the skills that they need to not be smug, but to recognize, oh, well, I might be one step ahead in that area, but I'm a step or two behind in another area, and we're all learning and we're all growing, and we learn new respect for other people. And this is a new way of seeing the world. That's another part of being in community, whether it's in a classroom or outside of a classroom, being able to see the world through new eyes, being able to see it in new ways. And so what's wrong with our ways? What's wrong with the way we do it? Maybe nothing at all is wrong with the way you do it, except it's the way you do it. And it's very important for students to see beyond their home to a wider world, to see that other people might do things completely differently, and it's not wrong. They learn to accept new ways, new ideas. There are some places where things are absolutely black and white. I'm not advocating changing that for 1 second. I am only saying there are lots of areas in life where a little bit of respect and kindness and acceptance would really go a long ways. To realize that other people can do it a different way, and that doesn't make them wrong, and it doesn't make me right because I do it this way. And it's also very important for those things that are black and white, that our students have the opportunity to hear other opinions, because when they hear other opinions, they're more able to answer. They're more able to come to understand what they believe, why they believe it, and be able to answer. And having that in a supportive environment that is being monitored, that is being controlled, and is being guided by a caring and like-minded Christian worldview adult is so important. Because if we let our students just go out into the world and be assaulted by all the waves of doctrine that are out there, and we haven't prepared them to answer these questions, we're sending them like lambs among wolves. They are going out completely unprepared. And as much as they know what they believe, until they are given opportunity to be challenged, they haven't learned to answer. And it's so important to learn those things, because that is going to solidify their beliefs. As parents, it's so scary, but I want to say that iron sharpens iron. And when your student comes together with another student and they can say, well, I think this, and the other one will say, but what about this? And be able to go back and forth and have a respectful conversation, to be able to share ideas, those skills, those are success skills. Those are skills that are going to make your students stand strong. They're going to teach them how to have strong relationship skills, strong conversation skills, confidence in their speech, confidence to stand up, because they've already had these ideas. They've already had these discussions. The last thing that being in a community offers is support and accountability, and the best kind of community, which is what we want for our kids. We want them to have the best community, not just any community. In the best community, they will have support and accountability. I can't be everything to my kids. I can't be their math tutor. Oh, I cannot be their math tutor. I cannot be their physics instructor. I cannot know all of the subjects well enough to teach them in a high level way, to prepare them for post-secondary. That's not something that I'm able to do. There might be some of you who are oh so talented at academics that all of those things come easily to you. And I think that that's really part of a minority. But for the most part, we cannot be all things to our kids. And that hurts us when we realize that we can't be all things. When they're toddlers, when they're infants, we are everything to them. But as they grow away from us, they become more on their own. And we discover that we can't be all things to each one of them, that they are going to need others as well, that they are going to need places where they can go, where they can ask for support and help. And maybe that's not always their parents. We need to make sure we have set up places and people in our relationships that our kids feel that they can go to. If they're struggling with something they don't want to talk to you about, isn't it so much better if you've already got relationships that those kids feel that they can go to someone else, that they know that's okay, that they're not going behind your back, that it's okay for them to go to a mentor, to someone else who can advise them and care about them, that you're not the only one. And it's so important to be an example to our kids of how to reach out for help, to recognize that we need help, that we aren't everything, because the earlier they learn that they cannot do it all, that they cannot be it all, that they cannot handle everything on their own, the earlier they learn that, the better off they're going to be. And if we can model that for them, if we can model how to reach out, we're going to be finding support for ourselves, and we're going to be an example to our young people. So what should we do as parents? Because this is what it really comes down to. So first of all, we need to be an example of growth ourselves. We need to be an example that we're learning, we're growing, we are reaching out for help, and we're finding support. This is so important. I can't stress enough how important it is that parents be a leader in these areas to their kids. The second thing is that we can be supportive of their need for peers, because it is important to them. God made it that way. God made it so that they needed other people in their lives, and not just adults, but that they needed peers, because at some point those peers are going to be the people that they do life with. Those are the people that they are going to be supporting and that they are going to be getting support from. And it's not always going to be us. Look at your life. It's possible that your parents are your one and only go-to, but what happens when they get older? What happens when they pass? And it's so important that we have people in our lives other than our parents, that we have in some way grown beyond that relationship. Just as the Bible says that we're to leave our father and mother, we're to cling to our spouse, but also that gives us an opportunity to develop a new family and a new community. And that's what we want to prepare our kids to do. And it's so important that we are sure that our kids have a community that will challenge them and support them. So I'm going to say something really unpopular right now. Take a look at your youth group at your church. Is it challenging them and supporting them? Is it just games with a 5-minute devotional or 15-minute devotional tacked on the end? Or is your church's youth group actually challenging them to chase after God? Is your church's youth group actually a supportive place for them in their spiritual development? If it's not, it's okay to find a place that is. It's so important that they have a place that is theirs, a place that's going to challenge them to be and better, to grow stronger, to get to know God more, to learn to reach out, to learn to be a servant. And those things don't happen in dodgeball. So it's so important that our youth groups and our churches are not just about entertainment, but that they are about discipleship and support and challenging our students to actually make a difference. They have the skills and they have the time. They need the opportunity to do hard things. So make sure that your kids have a community that's going to challenge and support them spiritually, that's going to challenge them and support them academically, and that's going to challenge them and support them in their journey towards their goals. So thank you so much for joining me today. And as you can see, I am absolutely passionate about seeing kids become confident speakers and about being persuasive in their writing skills and in the way they think, to be critical thinkers, and especially to be able to reach out and do hard things continually in their lives. if that's something that interests you, if you have any questions about this, please reach out. I'm here. I'm your mentor. So please reach out. I'll talk to you very soon.